your most recent post hit hard. What if failure wasn't an option? I don't know if you remember that. This was not just about mindset. It was in some respects framed as a dare in my mind. Can you unpack what you meant with that and just give us a little color?
Yeah. So part of my management technique is really from the psychology days, finding tricks to trick people past their habits or quirks to get to results. And these are just little techniques. I've got a million of them. Some of them suck, some of them work. This is a really good one because, I used to say there are two kinds of people, and I stole this, I didn't make it up. Some people with a problem for every solution and people with a solution for every problem. And we've all been there where you're in there like, we've got something, we've got to make the decision. This needs to work. And you've got people that are just, someone comes with an idea and everyone's like negative, here's why it can't work. I think one of the things that made me successful is my early psychology days. I was doing these psych consults. Someone had a suicide attempt or an OD or in an ER, maybe chained to the bed. And I have to assess them and make a decision. Do I take away their human civil rights and lock them up for 72 hours? Or do I let them go, trusting that they're not going to harm themselves or others? And so for me, failure was not an option. And I got to the point where I got really good at making those decisions. And then I get to where I'm in now, where there's a lot of really smart people that are okay with failing. I think a lot of times the specific thing that inspired that post was familiar in my area of influence. There was someone who was just avoiding hard things because they were hard. And, there's a big problem with the product, but they couldn't they wouldn't address it. And they're like, no, it can't be done. I'm like, okay, what if failure wasn't an option? What would you do? And he had an answer right away. This was a 6-month problem. I was like, okay, let's do that. But we've been talking about it forever. It's just one of these little things to trick the human in you to get there. Turns out there's usually a solution. I'm not saying it should be life or death or hustle culture, but please use that in your teams. If you hit that situation, ask yourselves, are you having trouble with something? Like, okay, I guess we're not going to hit that sales goal. What if failure wasn't an option? There's usually a way, like when something, for my son, if something has to do with him and his safety, I'm going to find a way to do it. Done.
100%.
It's channeling that in the workplace. That was something that I don't know if it'll make the culture of Wild book, but that's a technique that I really like.